could lose up to 40% of your conversions in Google Ads if you are using this conversion tracking method. Your Google Ads campaign success highly depends on data, which mostly comes from your conversion tracking. In some cases, this data is missing entirely. Missing data points for Google Ads can make or break your campaigns. For example, if the number of conversions drops below approximately 20 conversions per month, Google cannot work effectively. Even with larger stores that have a huge amount of data, we observe that more conversion data equals better performance. I'm not talking about ROAS in Google Ads. Obviously, more conversion mean higher revenue in Google Ads. I'm referring to greater profit from the same amount of spending. This is not a technical video, so I won't show you code snippets and where to click. This is a video explaining the differences between 7 ways you can track conversions in your e-commerce store. Some methods are Shopify specific, but 4 are universal, meaning if you are running your store on WooCommerce or Magento, you could use this mechanism. Well, actually, there is no other mechanism to use. So there might be some Magento specific extension, but ultimately they use one of the 4 methods under the hood. The reason we need to talk about conversion tracking because of this. 4 different methods, but 40% more conversions being captured with the right one. For Shopify, here are the 7 methods, first being the least accurate and 7th being the most accurate, with some methods between being equally accurate and effective. So number 1, you can choose to import conversions from GA4. Number 2, use Tag Manager to tag purchases on the client side. Number 3, native Google Ads conversion on checkout with additional snippets like enhanced conversion. Number 4, native Google Ads conversion from customer events. This is Shopify's new method. It's basically a tag manager inside Shopify. Number 5, Google and YouTube Sales Channel app. It's also the easiest to configure as a user, and it's very robust, which is why I would rank it so high. Number 6 is server-side tracking with client-side GTM. This is what people usually refer to server-side tagging nowadays, and it's partly true. This is the method I would recommend you to implement ASAP. Number 7, it's server-to-server tracking, data sending. It's on the backend. The user doesn't even see the data. It cannot block, alter, or intercept the data. This is the best way, but it needs significant attention, and I predict this will be the standard method in about 1-2 years. Let me go back a little bit. The reason we need to talk about this different method, because different method means different results. And the more data you can capture, the better will be your campaigns. So let's break it down each method. Number 1, import conversion from GA4. Either from Google, YouTube Sales Channel app, or inline code. You definitely need GA4 for other purposes, but avoid using GA4 conversions for Google Ads if possible. Also, there is a significant time delay as well. You can use it as a secondary conversion source to see how much it tracks. Number 2, use Google Tag Manager. You need additional checkout codes and manual setup. You must ensure you send everything to the Tag Manager as well, which then sends back the data to Google and Facebook, etc. The issue, it tracks only web purchases, so recurring purchases won't be tracked because there is no event to catch. So since the additional checkout script will be sunset, this is an option, but we wouldn't recommend using it. Number 3, Google Ads conversion with checkout snippets. This is essentially the same method as above, but the code is in line rather than through GTM. It's an alternative, but I wouldn't use. Number 4, customer events. So this is the new solution. This is essentially a tag manager within Shopify. The advantage is it can catch all events that other apps generate, so recurring purchases can be tracked as well. You can also configure consent mode effectively with it, making it a good tool. However, there is no way to debug it. So you need to wait and observe and wait and observe. We believe this is an interim step, and Shopify will release server-to-server site tagging with this customer event manager, which will be a significant improvement on the data you can get from Shopify. However, as of February 2025, we are just not there. So you need some scripting knowledge for fine-tune this, etc., such as enhanced conversion. Number 5, Google and YouTube Sales Channel app. This is the optimal solution for 80% of businesses because it's robust and uses both web and server tracking. While it's not a server-side tagging, it sends data from the backend as well, including recurring purchase. There is no way to debug, and extra code is needed for enhanced conversion tracking. That's the only step that requires technical knowledge. Otherwise, it's the safest option. And as you can see, it's not too bad. Obviously, it's not as good as the other methods. So number 6 is server-side tagging with GTM. The tracking code runs on the client side, but the data is sent to your server within your domain. So it's not considered a third-party tracking, and that's why it's better than all the other methods. Since some browsers block third-party trackers, your additional conversion information is lost. So, for example, ad blockers usually block something.google.com server, but since they only see your website sending data to ads.yourdomain.com, this data passes through. But you need your own server, that's an extra cost, and you must implement measurement protocol, and your server must send the data back to Google servers at the backend. So you will have more data to analyze on your servers as well, but it requires knowledge to set this whole thing up. Number 7, this is server-to-server tracking, and mostly no one else mentions this one as well so far. So your web server, Shopify in this case, sends data directly to your tracking server. Clients, users cannot see anything, making it safe to send profit information to your tracking server. More browsers, apps try to block Facebook than Google, so it's the best method for Facebook as well. And since no one can alter or block this data, this is kind of like the best method. Although there can be some privacy concerns here, as user can send do not track requests, but you can still track those users. So these are the current mechanisms for tracking Google Ads conversions with Shopify. And the reason we need to discuss it because this $40,000 difference, for example. So I think this is a significant amount of money. I think this is a significant amount of data loss if you just use GA4. Clearly, the best method depends on your actual store, revenue, etc., etc. But the extra 11 to 15% that server-side tracking can add to your project is essential for any serious businesses. This is another way to see the loss of data. If 100% would be the amount of data the server-side tagging sent back to Google Ads, then 67% is the data that Google Analytics 4 sends back to Google Ads, which is 1/3 of the data point lost. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment if you have similar statistics. I'm eager to hear how others have improved their conversion tracking. Also, you can subscribe to the channel as we create 2 videos weekly.